Welcome back, citizens, to an all-new episode of the Batcave podcast. It's your old bat chum, John S. Drew here. And there's only 4 episodes left. This is the first of the 4 last episodes of the Batman 1943 serial. And joining me once again is the man himself from Gotham City 14 Miles and Zap Zlonk Zowie. Did I get it right?
No. You're in...
Jim Beard.
Listen, you're in the book.
I know.
You need to get the title right.
I should write it down in front of me here.
Yeah, it's Zlonk. Zock. Zowie.
You had to go for the more difficult alliterative ones, didn't you?
Uh-huh. I know. And you know what it is? I put the weirdest, sound effect word first.
Yes.
Because nobody can pronounce Zlonk.
Okay.
You got to get the L sound in there. Zlonk. Zock. And then Zowie. Yes. Both available on Amazon. If you've not picked up a copy, do so. Some great reading on the Batman 66 series, one on the overall series with various essays, and Zlonk. Zowie is a collection of essays on the first season. Yes.
So I teased at the end of the last episode that I wanted to talk about something here at the beginning, something I discovered, and I don't think we've talked about this at all. And it's in relation to our good friend Colton.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Colton, is actor Charles B. Middleton. Now, I think we've mentioned his name before, the actor's name, but what we didn't mention is his really big claim to fame in serials.
Oh, wow. All right. My bad.
I don't think we've mentioned it at all.
That's who that is.
Yes.
I'm really not paying attention.
I know, right?
Wow.
I totally missed it.
Zowie. I'm embarrassed.
Do you want to say it?
No, you go ahead and say it, because I'm just so embarrassed that I think we need to go back and re-record all 11 episodes before this.
Our man Colton, as portrayed by Charles B. Middleton, was also Ming the Merciless in the Flash Gordon serials.
Totally embarrassed. There goes all of my bat cred right out the window.
See, that's the thing. By then, he'd played Ming a couple of times, and those were wildly successful. Having him in this serial was a coup in many respects, I would imagine back then. And to think that they just kill him off and he's done with just doesn't... I'm holding out that we're going to see Colton when this is all over.
Don't look ahead. You got to be careful. Don't look ahead, because I haven't,
I'm not gonna
at all. I don't want to. I don't want to know. It makes me wonder. Here, I'm trying to come up with excuses. If it's having the beard on that I didn't recognize his face, because the actor had a pretty distinctive face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, wow. All right.
Well, he had a distinctive face, but he had a little work done around the eyes and stuff like that when you look at it. So it's a little, it's funny because I think about it now, how like DACA could be Ming,
Sure.
But yeah. So all the more I'm holding out hope. That's all I'm going to say on this, because Colton has become my favorite character in this serial, and he did not deserve the ending he got. So I'm
got to be careful, because you could be totally crushed if he doesn't reappear.
I'm waiting by the mine. I'm like Beowulf's warriors when he went down to fight Grendel's mother. I'm waiting. I'm not like the rest I'm not like the rest of the Danes who left behind Beowulf and said, "Oh, that's it. He's done."
Yeah. Wow, there's an illusion for you. Wow.
I got to still work those in every once in a while. I got to keep in shape mentally with my school stuff.
Yes, you do.
Daka, sinister Jap spy, plans to destroy Batman, but Batman's young aide, Robin, has other ideas.
It's managed to cut into the police wavelength. We've got to get out of here. Come on.
Better leave. The police are on the way.
What are we going to do with these guys? We can't take them with us, but I'll promise you they'll never bother us again. I'm going to blow up this place so the police won't find all that equipment. You boys better get out of here.
All right, I got to say, opening this episode up, I got to give them credit because we complained about this a couple of episodes ago, how they pretty much with one of the cliffhangers, they repeated it like beat for beat so that the opening went on way too long. This one, they seemed to cut it and went a lot faster. The recap was a lot faster in terms of Bruce and Dick, Batman and Robin getting into the fight with our Daka's men at the house and such, and eventually the whole thing with Chuck White being revealed, and then the house being rigged to explode. Now here's my problem though. Once again, I'll give them credit though for at least faking us out with this one, because suddenly it's like they're running towards the door. And then they open a trap door that we didn't see because there was a big chest in front the whole time. Yeah. I went back and looked at the last episode too. It was there. So it's like, okay, I'll give you that one. I'm
glad we missed that.
Yeah. The cards over there.
But no, I wrote in my notes, trapdoor ? Like, there was no preamble to it. I mean, it's like they knew the trapdoor was there, right?
Right. They didn't pull anything back. They didn't, there wasn't like, oh, it's a rug or something like that. No, it was just there was a trapdoor on this floor. But to me that would make sense anyway. Like in terms of if they needed to make a quick getaway, if the house was ever surrounded, I could give them that one.
But just that Batman just sees it immediately and they go down, they use it. That was too convenient.
Okay.
Way too convenient. I mean, just a tiny little thing of dialogue like the trapdoor. I noticed it before. Something like that. I don't know. Whatever.
But they get out.
These guys deserve to get blown up. But anyway,
they get out in the ta-da nick of time.
Yeah.
We cut then to Daka, who's toasting the end of Chuck White. I'm sorry. Why is he so concerned about this 2-bit crook?
Yeah. Well, you know what? There's no scene or dialogue where they say to Daka, oh, guess what? Chuck White turned out to be Batman.
No.
It needed to be, because again, they're going on and on about that. So it's almost as if he was told, but we were not privy to that. We, the audience, were not privy to that. But why not use that? Like, you're never going to believe this, boss. Batman turned out to be Chuck White. Mm-hmm. And then, oh, yeah, okay, well, there's no doubt, the quote from last time, no doubt that he's dead this time.
Oh, and then he finds out that Marshall and Chuck were in jail together, so he makes the connection that Marshall must be in on this whole thing, too. So he sends a little special gift, a pack of poisonous cigarettes, to Marshall in the prison.
Wait, I made a note about this. I love this. He goes and gets this pack of cigarettes and he hands it to his crone, his lackey.
Right.
And lackey says, I don't know this kind. And he says, well, it's a special kind. I just love it. It's like somebody somewhere went so far to design, these cigarettes, like with a brand and a design to the brand and, a logo and everything. Like, who does that? It's just weird. And they're Medusa cigarettes. I love that too.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a nice touch. But then, see, this all leads then to a whole series of for instance, okay, how does this guy get these cigarettes to Marshall in the prison? Yeah, he goes there. In fact, his name is Bernie because we see Dick and Bruce coming up the steps of, the station, the police station, as Bernie's coming out, and Bruce recognizes him and says, that's Bernie from the Sphinx Club. So now we're going all the way back to the beginning when he recognizes this guy as one of the guys who took Linda that time, But he goes into the prison, he goes into the jail. He doesn't go after Bernie. He doesn't follow him. Which, why didn't he do that? What did Bernie do? Walk up and go, hey, these are cigarettes for Marshall? And then somebody said, how do you know Marshall? Because nobody else has had contact with Marshall. So what are you doing? Then we get Bruce going in there and talking to Captain Arnold.
You sent for me, Captain?
Yeah. I hope you'll be able to identify this man Marshall that my best detective just picked up.
Your best detective?
Mm-hmm. The Batman.
Oh, I see.
I put him on your case, and sure didn't take him long to get results.
Must be a wonderful officer, this Batman.
He sure is. Come on, take a look at the prisoner.
Captain?
Yeah?
Marshall just passed out. I don't know what's wrong with him.
Well, let's get a doctor.
I don't get why Wayne is involved in any of this at all, other than that brief moment there where, they were in the warehouse and stuff, and he's, giving an account to Arnold earlier on in this serial. But what is Wayne's role in this, and why are we calling him in?
The whole thing is that supposedly Bruce and Dick were assaulted by the criminals. Right. Right?
Right.
That's why, they have to have him identify who were the criminals that assaulted them. Okay, is this one of them? That's what that's all about.
Okay, all right. That much then that makes sense to me. There.
But yeah, it's just so vague. I wonder if any kid in the theater followed all of this at all. Or if it was literally just, we want to see stuff happen on the screen, but if there's, I mean, how many times when they're making this did they say, this is just for kids, it doesn't matter,
And then it's like, okay, let's go, see him and stuff. They find Marshall dead. He smoked one of the cigarettes. Mm-hmm. And Bruce is given one to analyze.
No, he finds it.
Oh, he finds it.
Yeah, okay. They go and look, and there's one on the. The butt of it is, the partially smoked cigarette is laying on the floor.
Oh, okay, all right.
I love this whole thing because it's detective work.
True.
Yeah, it's pretty basic stuff, but at least it's detective work. We skipped over something, and I thought that this was something that you were going to bring up. You had mentioned to me before we recorded Chapter 11 that there was something in Chapter 12, and I was hoping that this is what it is. There's a whole thing about Batman being an agent of the police.
Well, that Arnold brings up.
Yeah.
Because he says, my best man is on it.
Right.
Yes.
Now, I put a question mark by that because he's talking as if Batman really is an agent of the police and that he has contact with Captain Arnold does have contact with Batman, and he can get word to him and to look into things. When in the very beginning of this serial, they were more or less after Batman. Even though they made a joke about if only we had him on the force, blah 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 blah. If we could just find him,
I think that whole thing with him, I think that was more sarcasm or just
okay,
or him blowing himself up, saying in front of Wayne, saying I have and then of course the joke is there's Bruce going, oh really, you have Batman working for you, okay. I think it was more that because later on, after Bruce does analyze the cigarette and finds the poison, he calls Captain Arnold, and we get that humorous little bit, like I was saying, where because Arnold was about to smoke one of those cigarettes, and because he's like, "Who is this?" He didn't come right out and go, "Captain, it's the Batman." He says, "Don't smoke the cigarettes." Well, who is it? It's the Batman, and it's like, I don't think that was meant to be that he really is. Where I think he was just blowing himself up in front of Bruce and Dick.
It's funny because I'm usually pretty hip to sarcasm and things like that. But I actually, made a note and put a question mark by it because it sounded more like suddenly something had changed and we weren't, told about it.
No.
I'll give Lewis Wilson credit because he sort of did change his voice when he's on the phone.
Yes.
What he mostly did is his accent didn't come through. Because if this were the real world, Captain Arnold would have said, Bruce, how do you know that it's a poison cigarette? Well, when they started the whole thing, I thought, oh, maybe Bruce is considered to be a criminologist. Like, this goes back to the Shadow in the and the Spider. In the pulp novels of the Shadow and the Spider, their alter egos were considered to be amateur criminologists.
Oh, okay.
And that's how they were able to be on the scene of crimes and interact with the police. And it's terrible because it's just too damn close to what they do, in costume. So I thought, wow, are they going to do this with Bruce? Is Bruce suddenly an amateur criminologist? But then he goes, yeah, like you said, then he says, oh, this is Batman. But he does. He actually kind of strengthens his voice a little bit. I wish he'd been doing something like this all along. But he did. What he does is he more or less gets rid of his accent.
Right.
Yeah.
But it works though.
Yeah, it does. I get it, and I love Captain Arnold's reaction. It doesn't hit him immediately. And then when he does, he throws away the cigarette. That look on his face is good.
Yeah, no, now that you explained that whole thing with the cigarette on the floor, because I totally missed that. I really thought that it was just
they go in.
I don't know why. I may have phased out. This episode didn't hold my attention.
Yeah, it's pretty standard stuff, and that's saying a lot with this serial.
Yeah,
but there's not a whole other than that he actually does some detective work. There's not a whole lot to speak of in this. But yeah, Bruce and Dick actually went in to look at. I think it's Marshall's corpse.
Right. Yeah. No. That part I remember.
And he noticed. Is the cigarette laying on the floor and is with it enough to pick it up and take it with him.
Right.
And he has one of those, and boy, it would probably seem like science fiction to kids at the time. He has one of those centrifuges.
Yeah.
The little thing that whips it. I thought, oh, that was a really nice little touch there for someone to say, oh, let's stick that in the laboratory there.
Yeah. That's true. We go to DACA.
According to the coroner's report, Marshall died today suddenly in his cell. 6 of our members have died through the activities of the Batman. Therefore, before we do anything else, we must make certain that he has been finally destroyed.
But I told you he was done for when Section 50 was blown up.
I have no proof of his death. Besides, there's still the possibility that there may be more than one Batman.
Well, if there is more than one Batman, how are we going to find it out?
This may be accomplished through Miss Linda Page.
You think she knows him?
I know the Batman has a mysterious way of appearing every time she gets in trouble.
I see. You intend to use the girl to lead the Batman into a trap?
Exactly.
How are you going to get Miss Page to cooperate with us?
Yeah, I made a note of that, too, because he's still on that kick.
Yeah.
He believes it's a big organization. He believes that there is more than one person who runs around as Batman. And I think that's to him, that's the only way to justify all of this, that he and his stupid, henchmen cannot get rid of Batman. So, well, it's got to be that there's more than one person.
Except for one problem, though. He then makes the connection that somehow Batman is concerned about Linda all the time because he always seems to show up. Well, if there's more than one Batman, would all the Batmans be concerned about Linda? You're going to catch one, maybe, unless, there he should have been like, if we could get one of them, then we could bring down the organization or we could learn about. But he doesn't. He just then goes into this thing of, it's kind of like, we always see Lois with Superman. Get Lois, you get Superman. Well, you get Linda, you get Batman. So he comes up with this plan to lure Linda into a trap.
Which is a good plan. I get it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he should have said something more like this woman is important to their organization.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean it's a good standard comic book trope. Yeah, lure this woman in and we'll get the Batman.
Yep, he brings out Zombie Warren, who we haven't seen for a while.
Yes.
All dressed and ready to go, back in his suit.
Yep. Trots him out.
Yep. Has him put in a car. One of his men drive around in the car, and they drive past Linda. She sees it's her uncle, and so she gets in her car and follows them to the Ajax Metalworks, which was his factory.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I thought this was interesting because there's nowhere along the way that we see this, but hey, okay, we're going to go along with this. Then we cut to Bruce, and he learns that she's gone looking for her uncle from the doorman or whatever. It's like there was nothing there that suggested she went back and left a message with anybody. But
True.
He gets the message.
True. What I do like, and I made a note of this is that Bruce sort of justifies this whole thing as he says, as the jealous suitor.
Yes.
I need to know what's going on. That's a nice tiny little bit there because that speaks to what the character of Bruce Wayne should be.
Right.
Is being more concerned about something dumb like his relationship, with Linda than anything. And I like that because he kind of plays that up like, no, this fits perfectly. I'm the jealous suitor, right? Mm-hmm. Well, and I felt like saying, Bruce, you're not a suitor in any, you don't you never act like you give a darn about her anyways. Why you two are even involved is beyond me.
And then it gets, again, and this speaks to something you've talked about before. No, we don't get into costume first. We'll go as Bruce and Dick to the factory where they are lied to by a guard who's like, oh, no, she's nowhere around. He won't let them in. And Bruce sees her car, so he knows they're being lied to. So now we'll finally go and put on the costumes and investigate.
It seemed to me that he saw the car going in. And I guess I'm assuming that he didn't want to tip his hand like that because he could have said right there and then to the guard, what do you mean? Her car's right there.
Right.
I think that he doesn't do that because they want to go in as Batman and Robin.
Right. And they do. They get dressed. They go into the factory. They start a fight with DACA's men who are there. Linda's off in another room with one guy guarding her there. In the midst of the fight, one of the men drops a cigarette and it starts a fire.
I really just thought that the whole thing with the building on fire was really, a good-looking part of this chapter. It is.
And it sets up for what looks to be an impressive cliffhanger as Batman sends Robin off to get the fire department. The men, knock Batman out, and then they grab Linda and they go running out of the building and stuff. Batman comes to, and as he tries to escape, he tries to run up the stairs. The roof caves in, and we come to the end of the episode. And I'm looking at it going, all right, no way he's getting out of this one. This
is it. There is no doubt that this is finally the end of Batman.
and you notice again, the trailer does it again. It's Robin centric with him running through the streets and such.
Yeah, it's just, to me, that's so fun. That's such a window in time that they said there are children in this theater who will believe that this is the end, and we cannot tip our hand. Because we got to have them come back,
right?
And witness what a world without Batman would be.
Yeah,
it's funny. It's part of the whole cliffhanger serial world that they do that.
Yeah. It's a quick episode. I mean, it and as I say, it didn't hold my attention though, so I missed some key elements there because I kind of faded in and out with this one.
Yeah. I love the title.
I love the title. Yeah.
Yeah. It's much better than a Nipponese Trap. Yeah, Embers of Evil. That's just great. I love that one. That's so pulpy.
And I liked, like you said, I liked the fire at the end. I liked also the fact that we got a lot of, stock footage, I'm sure, of fire engines coming out of the stations and moving through the streets.
That absolutely was. I noticed that too. There's some good, solid stock footage there of fire trucks going down the street and people watching them.
Yeah, exactly. So, as we come to the end of this episode here, Jim, if people want to continue talking to you about Batman, whether it's the 43 serial, the 66 series, or, just Batman in general, how do they go about doing that?
I wish they would talk to me about the 1943 serial. I keep trying to push their buttons, our phantom listeners out there. I keep trying to egg them on and say things that will prompt them to write angry emails and send angry tweets, but it doesn't always work. But I wish they would. We do really appreciate the people who do reach out to us and say things, but I think more people should look into this serial as a weird alternate universe Batman. They can find me. Speaking of Twitter, they can find me on Twitter. It's @writer Jim Beard, all one word. They can find me on Facebook at The Beard, the Jim Beard fan page, or at Gotham City 14 Miles Facebook page, which is now the official Facebook page of Zlonk Zok Zowie, although it doesn't say that. It is now the official page of that. And then they can also find me at my own little publishing house, Flinch Books, and that has its own page on Facebook. Email would be flinchbooks@yahoo.com. And you can look up all my books on Amazon under my name, my author's page on Amazon.
Very cool. Very cool.
It is. It's exceedingly cool.
It's exceedingly cool.
And you know what? And I have to say, I'm working hard to make sure that people have stuff to read during this crisis.
Yes. So, folks, stay tuned. In fact, Jim and I will be back soon. We've only got 3 more episodes left for 43.
Oh, no.
And then we move on to 49.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a whole nother serial to complain about.
Well, we'll get a proper villain this time in The Wizard.
Yeah, a proper villain, right? Yeah, not a comic book villain, but at least he seems to be more like a villain than DACA.
Right, exactly. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for all the great shows that I've got planned here coming up on the Batcave podcast. Until next time, folks, thank you so much for listening. Once again, Jim, citizens, take care.
There's DACA with a new and larger radium gun, and he has the radium to make it work. Can Robin find the secret hideout? Don't fail to see 8 Steps Down, Chapter 13 of Batman at this theater next week.